You're listening to the Social Selling Simplified podcast. Stick around if you too are obsessed with learning things that actually work and believe that success leaves clues. We're all about identifying results-producing roadmaps and getting super clear on how to scale and grow your online business. From part-timer to president, social selling expert Ashley Shaw will help you connect the dots and take the guesswork out of what works to grow a social selling empire. It's time to hear from social selling legends, listen in on truthful conversations, and learn the best tips and tricks to reduce the marketing overwhelm so you can build the social selling business of your dreams. If you're ready to go all in, no holding back, and build the business you've always wanted, you're in the right place. Here's your host, educator, social selling guru, and fitness industry OG, Ashley Shaw.
Welcome to Social Selling Simplified. I'm your host, Ashley Shaw, and today I have Ashley Wilhelm here with me, and she has an incredible story. So for 14 years, she was a language arts teacher with no social selling experience whatsoever. And for 4 years now, she's been in the social selling space and using her gifts and talents from being a teacher as a way to not only educate her customers, but also to create consistency and an incredible team culture. Not only that, but she is doing $200,000 in sales per month, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. I'm so excited to dig in with you and learn more about how you have built this incredible business. So thank you so much for being here, Ash.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Oh my goodness. Anytime, whenever I have some time to pour into others who are sitting here saying, I'm ready to make a change, why not me? I'm all about pouring into those people.
I love that. That must be the teacher in you, right? Like that.
Right.
Wanting to give back. I love that. So I always like to start with the story. How did you get to working in the social selling environment, and how did that all start for you?
Oh, wow. This is my favorite part of the whole journey. What I do is completely story driven. So I think it's so important to take all of you on that journey where I started 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, I was entering my 13th year in public education, and I loved the classroom. It was never really in my mind that I wanted to leave the classroom. Honestly, I did not have a growth mindset 4 years ago. I was raised in a household where my parents were hard workers. I was really the first one in my family to attend university. And they had said, my whole life, stability, play it safe, get a job, stay there 30, 35 years, collect that great pension. And I was just on the hamster wheel of life, just kind of day in and day out, going through the motions. My husband and I were both college educated people, but we were never able to get ahead. In fact, it was during this 13th year that we were finally starting to recover from the second job layoff that my husband had went through. And having gone through 2 job layoffs with him, also fighting a costly fertility battle, we understood at a very young age that we're all just one accident, illness, job loss away from having everything that we've worked for wiped out. And so we had it in our minds for quite some time that if we could bring in a side income, a residual stream would be ideal, then it would just give us a little bit of leeway to take a trip, to go somewhere and not feel guilty, to not feel like we were breaking the bank. And so day in and day out, I was going into my classroom, and I always thought the opportunity would fall into my husband's hands. It was he that would say, I don't think that this is good enough. We can do more. We're worth more. Let's go get after it. And I had that very fixed mindset of, can't you just be satisfied? Can't you just be happy? But I tell you, the difference for me was when my son entered the toddler age, I was exhausted. Flat out exhausted. I couldn't always pour into my kiddos at school what I wanted to because I needed to conserve a little bit of mommy for when I got home. Mm-hmm. So at that point in time, a dear friend reached out to me and said, life does not have to be this way. I know that you take care of yourself. You're a clean eater, but you're dragging. I see it in you. Would you be open to learning a little bit more about a supplement that I think could really bring some spark back to you? I had never heard of my company. I had never heard of my product line that I currently promote. And And I just went off of the trust with that friend. So I trusted in her. I said, sure, let's get the product in my hands. I will be honest with you. If I don't think that it works, if I don't think that it's simple, I will not continue on, but I will do this for you. She had used our product for 4 months. I had seen significant changes in her. I thought if I can get a little bit of my own sparkle back, I will be so happy. Mm-hmm. So that was the big deal for me, guys. Selling had never really entered my mind because I felt fulfilled with my teaching career. But all of a sudden, I put a product in my hands where when I woke up in the morning, 3 simple steps, I was done for the day. And I felt alive again within about 5 days of using the product. So I thought, okay, I'm feeling differences. Check the first box. Second box got checked because it was simple. And I knew that people love simplicity. People will not stick with something unless it's simple. And so I called my friend up and I said, I feel amazing. And every time I turn around, people are yawning, they're complaining, they're telling me their body aches. Let's go change some lives here. And I knew I could attach my name to something that was really going to positively impact others. And that's how the whole journey started, guys, was just a friend sharing with me and me having to really dig deep and say, Ashley, just because this is different, it doesn't make it worse. Give it a try. Who cares if you've never heard of wearable nutrition? You feel a little silly wearing a sticker. It might work out. Give it a go. So within 5 days of putting the supplement in my system, felt amazing, decided I wanted to share it with others. And I really felt very naturally into promoting because I loved being able to say to people, I have something that's going to improve your quality of life. I have something that's going to once again make you excited to get out of bed in the mornings. And so it was very important to me to attach my name to something that I knew was really, truly making a difference. And that was when I knew, gosh, I don't even feel like I'm selling anything. I feel like I'm just sharing a better way. And so people noticed changes in me. They wanted to know what was going on with me. And I was just very consistent with saying, I don't know how this product's going to work for you. Here's what it's doing for me. And I'm going to hook you up with some more testimonies and stories. And I'm going to get you the information you need to make a decision for when it's your time to invest in yourself again. And so much joy has come from just teaching people that it's okay to invest in you. You don't have to run out the door every single day and put yourself last. Because for many years I did that. I think our culture teaches us that, especially as women, especially women working full-time outside of the home as I was at the time, that, hey, if you put yourself last and you're frazzled all the time, you're doing a great job. So when I found something that gave me a different way, I knew I had gold in my hands and I couldn't help but share it, Ashley.
And so did you have any reservations or things sort of getting into this? Because, you know, a lot of our listeners are already in social selling, but there are people out there, our listeners, that are maybe contemplating it, but they aren't sure how to get over. Usually it's, you know, fear-based that we hold on to and we're afraid to like fully put ourselves out there. That's the other scenario that happens. Maybe they're in a social selling company, but they're afraid to fully put themselves out there. Did you have any of those reservations? And if you did, how did you get over that?
Absolutely. Ashley, in public education, we are taught you keep everything about yourself under lock and key. You don't put anything really out there on social media that a parent or a student could really potentially dig into. You keep everything private. The very idea of me doing a live video, sharing in my story, opening up the settings and making sure that it was set to public, that was a huge fear for me because in my line of work, it wasn't always acceptable, right? I was a public figure in my small town community and in the educational world. And at this point in time, I was ready to go into educational administration. So I felt like it was very risky for me to all of a sudden say, hey, I think I'm going to open myself up and be a little bit more vulnerable here to others. So what I really did to be able to do that was I worked on my mindset. As cliche as it sounds, I had to every single day decide what could I dig into and what could I let into my mind that was going to empower me to try something a little bit different. For years, I used to take students abroad and they would get so scared and fearful to try a different food, to try something that looked a little, nerve-wracking to them. And I would always say to them, just because it's different doesn't mean it's worse. You won't know until you try. And so every day I just began fueling my mindset until I felt that I could truly put myself out there in a way that others would resonate with me. And I also knew Ashley, you're building a team. I was building what I call an accidental team because I would teach all day and all of a sudden people were falling in love with the product. And at the end of the day, I would have this mass amount of emails saying such and such became a free brand promoter, such and such click the free brand promoter button. And I knew if I didn't get in there and lead by example on social media the proper way, who knew what was going to happen? Who would want to follow me if I weren't in there leading the charge? So for me, it was 100% working on mindset. It still is. I do things that scare me every single day, but they're so necessary. I think a lot of times too, Ashley, people think that mindset is one book, one podcast, one YouTube video, and you have to constantly let the good in. You just have to, because then you're basically doing what Trent Shelton always says, one of my favorite people to follow. You're protecting your peace, and you feel as if you can get out there, get yourself online, have your message be heard, and that you're not going to get hooked on everyone else's opinions. You're delivering your content, delivering your message, and you're just kind of going about your day from that point on. That was the mindset that I had when I decided to start really putting myself out there.
Yeah, it's amazing how much in entrepreneurship, the mindset part, it can get left behind, especially in the beginning. We feel like, oh, I just got to nail this social media. I got to do this. I got to do that. But really, it's like the peaks and valleys that the mindset stuff will either keep you going or it'll hold you back. It's such an important piece.
And you have to ditch that fear of failure. There are so many things I did 4 years ago that pop up in my memories. And now I just gasp when I see them. But they were so necessary. Those failures literally took me to where I'm at today. And I learned from them.
And so how long did it take for you when you were first getting started to go at this like full time?
Oh, goodness. So we grew quickly. I don't think that I have a typical story at all with social selling. And I didn't realize that until probably about a year in. We grew very quickly. At 17 months in is when we had achieved 200,000, a minimum of 200,000 in online orders. And that was really at the point where I was starting to burn the candle at both ends. I was a natural planner, guys. People ask me all the time, how in the world could you get to that point of social selling with a company when you're working full time? And it's just all about using your time, right? I was getting up in the morning before my family and I was busting out the reach outs and the social media content. Before I went to sleep every night, I knew exactly who I wanted to be in touch with the next day, who I needed to be in touch with the next day. If they were sampling, if they had questions for me, I was stealing my own time away at the end of a planning period. If I was done what I needed for school, I might steal 5 minutes away, right? Going to the restroom, that phone was coming with me. Lunchtime, I no longer surrounded myself with negativity in the faculty room. I stole that time away to work my business. It was duty-free, unpaid time, worked on my mindset. And sometimes by the end of a school day, just from little 5 and 10 minute increments, I had gotten through like a power, half an hour for my business, right? So a lot of people say to me, how in the world did you do it when you're working full time? It's just committing to taking the time to consistently every single day do the things that are going to be the income producing activities that are always going to move your business forward. So by doing that every single day, I was teaching my team how to duplicate. I was creating layered leadership. And by 17 months in, I was presented with the idea of, what do I do here? I all of a sudden have options in my life. If I don't want to go back to school the next year and teach full time, I don't have to. I've created a 6-figure stream of income aside from my day job. So at 17 months in, I really was finding myself with that decision. And in my mind, because this had now went through a year and a half of teaching while I was building this business, in my mind, I was scared. I was scared to leave public education. It was all that I knew for 14 years. And there was this terrible voice in my mind that said, what if it all goes away? What if it stops working when you decide to leave your day job? And so I remember having a huge heart-to-heart with my husband. We looked at our vision board. We looked at all the pictures we had up around the home with all of our dates attached to those goals. And my husband looked at me and said, we won't progress towards these if you're away from this business 8 hours a day. And so with his complete trust in me, we drove together to my district office. We put in my letter of resignation and it was game on, because all of a sudden I was freed up and now my team had accessibility to me during the daytime hours where they didn't before. So I found myself at less than 2 years in really having to decide how much did I want to devote to this? Because although I was at the top rank of my company, the leader I was back then is very different than the leader I am today because I didn't have the time to dig into the things that I now do.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think in the beginning, let's say the 2 or 3 most important things you were doing that helped you scale in that 17-month period?
Number one, fearlessly sharing. It was complete ignorance on fire for me. I felt amazing. Why wouldn't everybody else want to feel amazing, right? And I look back and all I did was share. And now I look at the ways that I often will overcomplicate things. 4 years in, I catch myself doing that. And when I catch myself feeling in a place where I'm thinking, what's going on here? I take it back to that first year where complete ignorance on fire, my love of the product, sharing with others. I feel amazing. I want you to feel amazing. And people dug my energy. They wanted to be around me. They wanted to know what was going on. I didn't have the sales aspect in my mind. I was just being me. I was keeping it simple. And I tell people on my team to this day, your job is not to overcomplicate this process, right? Your job is to find people who are complaining. Well, guess what? That's everyone. They're complaining that they're not sleeping well. They're complaining that they're not having enough energy. Go find people that complain. You're never, ever going to run out of people on that prospect list. So number one, I was always sharing. And the second thing, guys, I was creating a team culture that was like no other. I had people that trusted in me that literally started the product just a few weeks after me. And I had to make a decision. Am I going to lead this team or am I going to say, oh, I'm tied up at school right now. Go figure things out. I'll be back in the evening. Absolutely not. So I started letting them know, I'm not sure the answer for that, but I will get back to you very, very quickly. And the trust, the rapport was there with my team and we were having fun. Most people, this is something I feel very strongly about. They start to stop enjoying that was totally grammatically wrong. They stop enjoying their business when they're starting to get so serious that they forget why they started the product, why they get up every morning and take their product and their true why of working and helping other people, why they started. So my team culture is something that I've always believed in. I was edifying people. We were having fun. I was realistic with expectations within my team. I learned very quickly early on that just because I was aggressive and was building financial options that I never thought imaginable, not everybody wanted that. So I knew I can't press my goals on them. I'm going to give realistic expectations for people of what they need to be doing each and every day to keep the throttle moving forward. But I'm never going to make someone feel as if they're not enough. And so loving people where they were at, helping them towards their goals, that was big, and creating that fun team culture. People join social selling because they want to have fun. They're not having fun at their day jobs. They're not getting complimented. They're not winning prizes that say inspirational things on them. So that was one of the biggest things I did at the beginning. And that's what I continue to do today. I mean, the team culture is huge. So that would be my top 2 things. And my team always knows I'm consistent. I show up every day.
Yeah, I love that. You said so many things that I wrote down there. I loved ignorance on fire and finding people that are complaining. I think that it's just so accurate. We make it so complicated. Like, oh, I just need to attract people. And, we overcomplicate that. And that is exactly what it is. It's you're finding people that are unhappy or stuck where they're at and trying to be able to show them, here's the before picture. I was there too. This is what it looked like. This is what I did. This is the after. And I want to dig into team culture and that sort of idea around recruitment. I hear you talk and you're just like, oh, it's easy. This is just what I do. And I think that a lot of people could really benefit from learning how you make it so easy, how it's just become this organic part of your culture. Because I think there's a lot of people that find it really challenging. I hear it all the time. Oh, it's hard to attract people that want to work the business. And it's just, when you say something is hard, it becomes hard. When you think something's easy, it's easy. If you were going to teach someone how to get this team culture that you've created, how would you go about doing that?
Sure. Well, the first thing people need to realize is yes, we're social sellers, but that's our platform. You have to get out from behind the technology. I'm a very visible person. I'm not sitting in my house day after day, even though if I wanted to, I have the luxury of doing that, but I'm getting out from behind the computer. I am fortunate enough that I literally have a way to market myself with wearable nutrition. People stop me all the time to ask, what is that thing on you? But here's the deal. I use social media for what I need it for, but I'm outside of my home, making sure that I'm attending things for my team, with my team, and meeting new people. There's two sides to that. You're visible to your team, and you're showing up for them outside of social media, but you're also going out and meeting new people. You know, I am that person that volunteers in my son's classroom, that's present at, all of the sports events. And when people meet me, they're not necessarily attracted to my supplement that I promote, but they're attracted to my energy. They're attracted to my vibe. And people sit back and watch. So here's the thing, guys. If I have one big, huge piece of advice to give you on how to attract people, pick your face up from your phone. When you're out being social, be social. I hear so many people that say, oh, my son's at practice. I'm working my business. Guys, for me, it is a playground of moms and dads who are tired, who are frazzled. If I pick my phone, or if I pick my face up from my phone and I interact with them and I just listen, that's the other thing too. Everybody wants to talk. Listen. People will tell you their need. They will tell you what purpose you can fulfill that they're lacking. And then what they're going to remember most is just the way you made them feel with that interaction. So I don't feel that it's super duper easy at all to recruit, but I do feel that it's easy to just make people feel good in your presence. And they remember that. They remember that. That's really the biggest thing, guys, is just talking to people. Well, I say talking to people, interacting with people, but really listening to them. And I always go home and say, I'm going to put them on my list. We didn't even have a conversation today about my product, but I now know a need that I can serve for them, and I'm going to continue to build rapport with them. That's the other thing too, guys. You really can't rush the journey, because although you're selling a product or service or opportunity, however we want to word it, you're in the people business. You're in the relationship building business, and that takes time. You can't fast track building rapport with people and them gaining trust in you. So that's my number one piece of advice. You have to get out from actually behind social media.
I love that. That's so refreshing to hear a different take on it, and something that I think a lot of us get caught up in. Like, we're buried in our phones. We're not really thinking about the people around us. So when it comes to your team and the people you serve, what would you say the mix is with people that are sort of local, that you meet person to person, versus the people that you meet online?
I will be honest. I've got quite a few personals that I've met through referrals, through a friend of a friend, and I've never met them in person. And that's incredible.
Yeah.
But I would say for me, it's still the bulk of people that I've individually brought in, they've seen or met me in person. Wow. I have people where 4 years down the road, Ashley, because I provide a very personalized service in the health and wellness realm, where people really have to trust in me to share with me some of the things that are going on. So I do meet people online all of the time, but my strongest relationships are the ones, and the bulk of that team and the customers are really from people that have met me. I will have people that all of a sudden show up in my inbox and say, I think I'm ready. I've watched you for 4 years, Ashley, and you still are so positive and so joyful. And I've watched and I've listened for long enough, and I'm ready to take the plunge. I'm ready to take the jump here. So for me, no, I'd say 70-30, honestly, as far as meeting online in groups, DMs, whatever, compared to people that I've met in person. But again, I'm visible. I'm out and about. I'm constantly meeting new people.
Well, I love that, because I think there's a lot of social sellers that maybe face that obstacle of, I just don't have a big enough network online, and, that sort of idea. But when you're using every opportunity that you have in front of you to get to know people, and like you said, increase their energy, because we know there's that energy transfer. If they feel good when they're around you, that's going to lead to something in the future. So I love that. I think that that's such a cool way to look at it, and something a little bit different that not a lot of people talk about. The other question I wanted to ask you was around your content and how you show up and how you know what to talk about. So how do you put that together, and what do you find works best when it comes to lives and what you put out there?
Wow, content is an area that I feel I'm growing in every single day, every single week. What I shared 4 years back compared to today, very, very different. So, for instance, 4 years back, if I see things popping up in my memories, I'm very often just saying how I'm feeling, what my product's doing for me. Today, when I look, I really try to tell my story, but relate it to my audience. Like I share about me, but I talk about you through my content.
Yeah.
Content does not come the easiest to me. Sometimes it takes me longer than other times to think of what I want to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do put up content on a whim, but my goal is share about me, but focus on my audience to where it doesn't seem as if I'm sharing about me. I'm always focused on my audience. I'm always content driven on the person viewing it and making them want to picture and visualize themselves feeling better, traveling more, earning an auto bonus, whatever it is that has really struck my heart that week or that day. Same thing with when I look at my vision boards through time. I've made a vision board every year these past 4 years and been crossing things off. My year one vision board, when I started this, what a board of survival. It hurts to look at the board. The things that were on there was just survival, right? And now I look at my fourth board and it's all about everybody else. What am I doing to build other people up? How am I serving my leaders? How am I serving my customer base? And it's just so incredible to see the growth with those boards and just how it drives my social media content.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because it falls into Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like in the beginning, when you're just trying to pay your bills and, like our focus is there. So that's a really cool connection that as you do move up those level of needs with Maslow and that need for deeper purpose, it would make sense your content would start to shift as well towards that. And I also think that marketing wise, like I remember I was at this conference in July on marketing, and there was this example of a post that was like a yay me post that when people look at that, they can't really relate to it. When you're putting something out there, whatever it is, I forget the example that they gave exactly, but it was something like a new car that I got. It's like, oh, good for you. That was sort of the response. And then on the other side, when you change that around to be like, this is the new car that my social selling business paid for. If you're out there and you're thinking about doing something different, then this is your opportunity or whatever, right? So there was like a big difference between just that slight angle of thinking about it that way and being able to tell your story with the idea that other people can see themselves in it, or seeing that they want the same things. Like they see themselves as being able to be the hero in that story still.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Just showing them that, you are no different than me, than the person who's presenting this content that's in the social selling realm. And that's really the best part of all, when you know that someone has stopped their scroll and said, why not me? And that's when they take the next step to reach out to you. And that is powerful. It's my most favorite part of this whole journey, is when somebody comes to the realization that they are worth it, that they are worth investing in and trying something that can move their family forward. And it's because they have followed my journey. I mean, there's nothing more powerful.
I love that. And so, Ash, if people wanted to have a look at what you're doing, they want to follow you, they want to learn more about you, where's the best place for them to do that?
Well, I hang out on both Facebook and Instagram. You guys can find me on Instagram at ashwilhelm31. I'm pretty active with my stories. My stories are what are really going to show you kind of my day-to-day life, my business, my family, that'll allow you to get to know me on a personal level. Facebook, of course, just Ashley Wilhelm. Those are really my two platforms I use the most. I mean, to look at what exactly I do, my website, ashleywilhelm.lavelle.com. So it's le-vel.com. That's a great place where you can check out, what I'm so passionate about that I share with others so often. The other thing I want you guys to know with social media, if you are just starting with social selling, calendar block the time in so that you don't get lost in the scroll. Calendar block the time whether you're working full-time, part-time, in the home with your children. Do what you need to do on there. Go be social as well. That's a big important part.
Mm-hmm.
But don't take your whole day thinking that you're working when you're just on social media. You calendar block and give yourself an allotted amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that advice. It's so important. It's easy to get lost in the scroll. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ash, for being on the show today. I really appreciate you just being an open book and sharing all your tips and tricks.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And guys, if you're sitting out here listening and you haven't yet taken the plunge into what social selling offers, do it if it scares you. I mean, do it scared, do it excited. Just take a step so that you know that you're not missing out on something that could be truly, truly life-changing. So thanks for having me, Ashley.
Love it. Thanks, Ash.
If you're like most coaches out there, you may be wondering, what is the secret to engagement? You've started to hone in on your captions. You're starting to really connect with your ideal customer, but something is still missing. Listen, I totally get it. It can be really frustrating to try to get engagement from your ideal customers when you feel like you're putting your heart and soul into everything that you're putting out there. And that's why I'm creating a photo and video workshop with my videographer and photographer friend, Shauna Yurko. What we're going to be doing is going through the ultimate guide to taking the best photos that capture your ideal customer's attention. And this is without any crazy cameras and with being able to do this all from the comfort of your phone and by yourself. You're not going to want to miss this workshop. To find out more, go to ashleyshaw.ca/photo workshop. That's ashleyshaw.ca/photo workshop. We'll see you on the other side of the next episode.